So Spud, I was listening to your Seamus podcast this morning, with the heart attack. It was very good. I was very, like, for the subject matter, it's like one of the funniest podcasts you've done in a long while.
yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was, I was laughing a lot at it because, like, you know, the podcast with Seamus are basically just like, I'll ask 2 or 3 questions and Seamus just for like an hour. And actually, he knows himself. Like, sometimes it's hilarious, and then sometimes he gets all miserable. But no, jeez, it was really good. And yeah, sure.
For people who don't know, the guy who, well, I was going to say used to do the podcast with Spud. I think he's sort of talking about doing more together. Whatever. Yeah. A guy at one stage used to be the co-host of the Comedy Cast. Co-host, that'd be the correct description.
Yeah. He was.
Recently had a heart attack. At a young age, although he wouldn't like to be told that. Don't mention his age.
Yeah, he hates that.
And he's ringing from basically the hospital bed, not quite exactly, but that's more dramatic. Just telling you all about it. It's an interesting story. The scary bit is that when the doctor says you've definitely had a heart attack when you were drunk one night when you were asleep. I just go like, fuck. Have we all?
Imagine, man, yeah. Fucking, it's horrifying. Like you haven't a clue, like what your body's been through that you don't know about. Where you just, you might have a little short pain in your leg or something. It's like, you walk it off. It's nothing. And next thing, you're dead. I know, but the other way of it is that there's 99.99999% of sharp pains in your legs aren't heart attacks. You can't live like that,
Yeah. Exactly, I thought it was interesting too about the diabetic stuff you were talking about and the different kind of information that's been given, because when Vanessa was pregnant, she had gestational diabetes, that pretend diabetes, which makes pregnancy, like as horrible as it can be at times for women, it makes it way less fun, because you have to like eat and inject yourself and test your blood and all of this kind of stuff. But there was like 3 different doctors you had to go to in your appointment, and one of the doctors would be telling her one thing about what she had to eat and how she has to eat, and she'd literally go over to the dietitian and be given out to for doing that.
Yeah.
And that, like, I was just like, one day I was going, right, I'm not having this, and said, well, like, what the fuck, like the thing, and she was like, oh right, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was what was going on. It's like, these not talk to each other. They literally probably don't. But it was in like the dietitian was not aware and acted like I was a Martian when I said, well, that the diet drinks can have an impact on your blood sugar. And she was like, don't be stupid. That's not, what that would be. I was going like, literally had a conversation with a doctor about this, 20 minutes ago.
Which is the one you're not supposed to trust. And I mix them up. I don't know if, is it dietitian or
a dietitian is a nutritionist, right. Nutritionist is the one that has had some studying done, but a dietitian's an actual thing.
Okay, that's what I mean. So dietitian is college, a nutritionist is full of shit.
Well, nutritionist can be college too, because I did diet nutrition at college. I still don't know what I can't tell you. Other than say, you should probably not eat sweets and cut down your alcohol and all that stuff.
Yeah. But one of them actually like. We'll take blood tests and say, no, stop eating that because you're dead.
One of them I assume has an actual medical something.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Nutrition. Well, it depends. Like I suppose, like I was going to say, a nutritionist probably couldn't work in a hospital, but they probably could as a nutritionist. I don't really know. But I know there is a difference.
I've already mixed them up again.
Yeah.
Which one? No. One of them does work in a hospital. The other one is
dietitian.
Like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, dietitian.
Nutritionist, get the fuck away from me. Because it isn't like. Because everything has nutrition, like even water has nutrition.
Oh, for sure,
so it's one of those things. It's like, what are you calling yourself now? That's not really applicable, So, look, he was in fairly good form, but I mean, I've spoken to him every 2 or 3 days, I suppose, and he is in fairly good form. But he said that in the podcast. He's not talking to everyone, because. Yourself, like when people are annoying you with a million questions, they're like, oh, you all right? You okay? You just start getting annoyed then. So
yeah.
He's been smart about it. But like, I was wrote to him this morning saying the podcast will be out, and he was like, well, the doctors are saying they want to get him in as soon as possible. Hopefully he won't be there for the 2 weeks, and then he can just start his recovery as soon as possible. It's mad though, isn't it? Like, could you imagine, like, you go through something and then you just go, like, they break all of your inside bones in your chest.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking smash it, well, with a chainsaw or whatever the fuck they do it with. I have no idea.
That's wee spinny.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's what I do my wood carving with. Imagine one of them, and then, like, getting sewed up and cracking your ribs. Like, the fucking pain that you must be in when you come back out of it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
oh.
Like, because my wee man digs his elbows into my chest an awful lot, and that's intensely so I can only imagine it's something similar.
It's exactly the same thing, Tommy.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing.
The good thing about Seamus now is that he's much more likely to win, like, Britain's Got Talent or Ireland's Got Talent or something, because he's a good story now, and he has a good scar, and he just needs his granny to die on the same day as the operation or something like that.
There you go, Seamus. He'll be listening to this now. There you are, man. Once you get out, you're going to have to pick up the comedy again and go for one of those talent shows.
Yeah, but I would advise anyone to, even if you're not interested in Irish people having heart attacks, but it's a really funny podcast, and it's very informative, and I enjoyed it. And it's not that it's like when you say to someone, "You're looking really well today." That's kind of like, I'm not saying that you look bad every other day. So it's a good podcast, but all Spud's podcasts are good. Anyway, that's it. That's the qualification.
Good man.
So check it out.
Sound. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure he'll be all right. He will be all right. He's young, He'll be fine.
Don't say that. Don't mention his age.
God, yeah. Sorry, James. What's you been at?
Me, I've been spending an awful lot of time making forests and villages in Unreal Engine, and it's been very good. I've fully got the grips
You're allowed to go to forests now.
I am, yeah, from today. Thank God. As you can see, I can't wait to get to the forest day one. Yeah, I'll go to the forest tomorrow. But, my kind of reckoning is that I want to go to the forest to be on my own. We're surrounded by trees, and if I go today, I will definitely not be on my own.
Yeah. Oh, today's the first. Actually, today's only Monday, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Tuesday. Yeah. Oh. No, my time's all over the place. I was late for you, late for recording. I was late. I think it's Tuesday. I don't know what the fuck is going. I know why, because I wasn't working on Friday, so I'm kind of missing a day. That's what it is.
Right.
Aha. See. Yeah. No. Good. Yeah. You have to get out and about in them. I'd be chomping at the bit if I was in Ireland. It's mad as well. Like, I was seeing people Irish people putting posts up about, like, will I wear a mask? Will I not wear a mask? And I'm like, I've been wearing a mask for fucking 2 months, lads. Cop yourselves on a bit.
Yeah. But the difference is there's a legal thing to do it, isn't it? Like, it's more than a suggestion in Poland. You have to wear one when you're outside.
Oh, you have to in a shop now, yeah. Or
yeah.
anywhere.
All we have to do is
it
is suggested that we wear it on public transport and in places where you can't social distance. So. So no one's going to do it around the street. What I've been doing is I've been taking one with me, and if I'm going into a shop, I'll put it on. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not walking down the street. Because I did walk down the street with one, and it's just literally everyone stops you and tells you, "Oh, be careful, they're the worst things to be wearing, they make things worse." And going, I just don't want to deal with that.
The only thing is that the evidence is completely the opposite. So I don't know why Irish people have such a problem with them.
Because it has come down through the health board. Because the people I'd be talking to are people who work in, like, care or work in hospitals and stuff like that. Apart from the actual nurses who say, no, wear the fucking mask. But, like, people who've been in care homes or, old folks' homes or that kind of thing are all being told that it's not. It's because people keep touching them. It's not the masks themselves aren't good. It's because we're shit at wearing masks. So, I mean, there is a point to that. Like, if you're going to wear a mask, don't touch anything. So it's like walking down the street, just going, I just need to touch my face more than I ever did. That's one where they have it just over their mouth, not over their nose.
Yeah, that's what everyone.
Or as a bandana.
Yeah, that's what everyone does here. Or like, like you'll turn a corner, and someone will be 50 meters away, and then everyone puts it on, and you walk past each other, and then put it down.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I assume the only person you're kind of fooling with the touching it yourself is you're more likely to get it, but putting the face over it, you're still less likely to give it.
Yeah.
Would that be right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I think it'd be a good thing if it stays that, like, in the way that they do it in the Asian countries, because we're Western, we're fucking ignorant about the East, and we think, they live in smoky shitholes, smoggy shitholes.
Well, 100%, that's what I thought it was.
So did I. And then one of the lads was telling me, like, no, like, it's a politeness thing. Is that if I'm feeling sick today, I don't want to pass it around, so I'll wear a mask. And, like, I hope that stays, to be honest.
Yeah. Or at least making it that if someone is wearing a mask, that it's not, look at that fucking idiot. Just like, right, Grant, that fella's doing that thing. So,
Yeah, fair play to him. No, he's a hero.
So when people first started wearing hats or using umbrellas or something. Like umbrellas were originally just for sunlight. Like that's what it was for. And then people started using them for rain. Sure, the first person was like, "Oh, would you look at your man
What an idiot.
with his umbrella in the rain?" And then someone went, "Oh, hold on, that's a good idea." Although we still kind of have that thing about, like, you hear it sometimes where men going, "Oh, you're going to use an umbrella." And I go, really? Is that where masculinity is at this point, that I can't use an umbrella?
Yeah. I did not use an umbrella for many, many, many years because of that.
Right, really?
Because this thing that gentlemen aren't supposed to have umbrellas. If they have one, they give it to the woman, like, and they just don't use it. And it's just nonsense. It's complete bullshit. It's another thing as well. Like, I remember being in school, high school, secondary school, and like the backpacks. Like, if you had like 2 straps, you were homosexual.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. You could only have 1 strap.
Or 2 straps over one shoulder. That was acceptable in my school, anyway.
Oh, no, God, no, that wasn't acceptable. I remember, like, within my first week of being there, I had because we had a uniform, like a navy top and grey trousers. Uniforms are the worst. No school should have no schools over here have uniforms, and kids are far better off for it. But I had white socks, and I got the fucking beating of my life. Like, never.
Right.
To this day, I've never worn white socks.
I don't know. I kind of agree that you should have been beaten for wearing white socks.
Yeah, I know I should have been, but they were just kind of sports socks or whatever.
Wear the wet shoes, though, because, I mean, you can kind of, if you're going to play tennis, then I suppose white socks are appropriate.
Yeah.
Not if you're wearing shoes, though.
They're just socks, though. You know what I mean?
It's so
like,
stupid, isn't it?
And if your pockets had to be ripped off your school shirt as well. I went to a very manly, masculine.
Was it all men? Was it?
Oh yeah, 800 and something boys. It was terrible.
Yeah, I only ever went to mixed schools. Thank God.
Yeah,
kind of prepared me a wee bit more for life, but I mean, obviously it didn't do that.
Fuck school.
Fuck school. I hated school. Absolutely hated it. I remember there was a point after my junior cert where, I mean, I just give up. Like, I mean, absolutely didn't. Like, I started, like, literally, deliberately just switching off in class and just going, well, I have my leaving cert today. What am I going to do with that? Nothing. But thankfully, in the end, like, I mean, I didn't do particularly brilliant in my leaving cert, but I didn't fail anything, and I wasn't going to college anyway, so I didn't make any odds, but it's so many people who did say failed their leaving cert or didn't finish it feel so bad about it later that so many go back that at least I'm glad I never had that kind of a thing that I felt.
I don't know. I mean, I should have repeated it, definitely, because I only got. I remember I got 225 points, and you pass it with 200. I almost failed a leaving cert. You know what I mean? Right. And I'm like one of the smartest people I know. No, but like they really shouldn't have done as badly. But it was the same. I was just so worn down by school. I gave up in my last year. I did nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
I was hiding. I was going mitching, and I had a good relationship with the art teacher, even though I wasn't doing art. He would let us hide in his class, during sport, during PE lessons.
Right.
Yeah. And he was sound.
I didn't go to PE during the last 2 years at all.
Fuck that. And he didn't like the PE teacher, so we approached him, and he's like, come into my class, and we used to do our homework then from the weekend in his classes and stuff. He was sound.
You see, look back in hindsight, and all of those things that happen around that are hallmarks of depression. I mean, like, that's literally what it is. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing of, like, you stop washing, you stop caring about yourself, you stop, all of it. These things go, massively depressed.
Yeah, it was miserable.
You've nobody noticed. To do, so get on with it.
Thanks for helping everyone. Really nice. Career guidance counsellor. Yeah, sound. Yeah, nice one, buddy. Remember, I went into his room one day and I was telling him, look, I really want to go to UCD and study philosophy and English. And he was, right, there's a lot of reading involved.
Right. Go fuck
And
yourself.
I said, well, yeah, I can read. And that was it, like. I just left. I just went, well, fuck him, like. Fuck this school and fuck everything. I want to burn it down. Now, see, there's this whole thing about your life that you're not meant to have regrets. I have fucking tons of regrets, but I own them. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have them. I fucked up there. I should have done the leaving again. I went on and done college, because I just went to Dublin and fucked around for 8 years and sex and drugs and rock and roll kind of thing, which is great.
Terrible decision.
But, I should have went to college a bit earlier instead of going back as a mature student, because mature students are fucking arseholes. They're always the ones asking the questions.
Always the ones doing their homework, doing their assignments, passing the fucking class. Oh yeah, wankers. I was also a mature student, and I also was that person. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you get another 100% in the test? Did you? Yeah, I did, because I actually read it. Yeah. Thanks very much. 14-year-old.
But then again, but like
14-year-old at my college.
it's one of those things, Tommy, that like, you know, like I definitely know that like if I hadn't done that thing, like if I hadn't have taken certain decisions at certain times, there's no fucking way to be where I am now. Like, you know what I mean? So,
But
like,
that's
even
the
though
whole
I made all those huge
catch-22
mistakes,
of thinking that your life is, you know, the road less travelled. Oh, this is the only way that it could have worked out to get around. Because no way. You are where you are because of these things. It's
oh yeah,
not that life
exactly.
Has destined you to be this way.
No, I don't really think in a destiny type of thing. But I think that like actually things worked out fairly good. It's grand, you know. It's just okay. I took a couple of years there where I had to cop myself on, but I did, so I'm all right. I'm okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Most people, not yet. No, I'm going to say it. Most people don't have those couple of years where they cop themselves on, as is testament by Facebook. Oh my God. And definitely, I need to leave that place again. It's I've had enough. I spend more time on Facebook now unfriending people than I do anything else. Nope.
I was on, you know, because like I've always kind of been of the mind that like social media is kind of what you make of it, and I've given up on Twitter, left that because I always use Twitter just for promoting the podcast. Miserably failed at that because I'm not that social media type of person. But you were always giving out about Facebook far more than I was, because my Facebook is kind of full of like Polish landscapes, mountains, stuff like that, and other landscape stuff. But recently, because of the Chaos Magic, I've joined some of the Chaos Magic groups.
It's the beginning of the end. That's Facebook completely changed for you.
Oh my God. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people?
Oh, it's mad, isn't it?
And there's the Discordian one, Discordian Society or something it's called.
Yeah.
Like, these are literally the worst people on the planet. The fuck is wrong with these people? Like, do you know what I mean? And like, I'm such an idiot as well. Like, because I went through today. I left it today, and before I left it, I clicked on, because you can find out who of your friends is in it. You know?
Yeah.
And so some of the Discordian, your Discordian people, like I'm friends with now on Facebook, sound lads, and none of them are in this group. So I was like, you idiot! Why did you join them if they're not even in it? You know?
Yeah.
So
this might not be a real Discordian group.
So today I was going through it, and I was just like, okay, now I get why Tommy really, really hates Facebook. It's like, these people are... One fella put up a thing with George Floyd, right? Yeah. And they had photoshopped his face pink, and it said Pink Floyd. And I was like, this is wrong. Like, I just left him. I reported to Facebook and just left immediately. I'm like, fuck this shit. Get the fuck... What the fuck is wrong with people?
Oh, I don't know. It's
My
just like,
God. Like,
the thing of this whole lockdown come, I don't know, whatever the label you want to give what's going on in America at the minute, the side quest are on. It's like this massive revealing of people and how they approach the world and who they really are and what they really think. Like, it's so strange, not so strange, that like when you always try your best to, you know, see the good in people and all that, and then you just realize how, oh my God, you're just not a good person. And even people who, you know, are good on many levels, or, you know, and all this thing, have this kind of weird fucking thing in the back of their mind that goes, oh right, you hate black people, why? You know, what is this? You're so great in all these other areas, and then you just randomly spout out this massive racist stuff or something. And it's just like, it's really, for me, showing people's true colours, and the whole level of, I suppose, thinking. The big thing is thinking opinion, their opinion, your own opinion, has as much validity as, say, an expert's opinion or something, you know, that just that's just so been nailed home to me, how utter ridiculous that is. You know, like this kind of, oh, just open your eyes, do some reading, or that thing of, don't believe everything you're told by the man on the telly. Here's a video by a man on YouTube, he'll tell you why you shouldn't do that. I go, fuck off. I'm not anti-YouTube. YouTube's wonderful on many levels, terrible on other levels. I'm not saying there isn't information on YouTube, but it's the kind of, can you not see the idiocy of saying, don't believe mainstream media man on the telly telling you things, but, you know,
but the Daily Mail, but the Daily Mail are different. They're the truth seekers. Okay, all right, okay, strange.
So it's like, the great revealing. I would like it to be coined, but I don't think that'll catch on, because
I used to get into rows with people on forums and shit like that, Reddit and all that, and like if anyone would send me a link for like the Sun or the Daily Mail, I'd just say I'm not even opening that, because you can't trust them. just get me another link. Get me another link from someone else other than those two who also says it. And okay, then let's continue this. And they wouldn't like so. And then I would take that as a victory.
Only because you know that they won't find it. Like there's just no chance
they won't bother.
that someone or the only other link you're going to find is something going no. What they said in the story isn't true.
Yeah, it's a very weird time to be alive. I mean, look, there's the anarchist in me and the socialist in me who's like, fucking burn it all down.
Yeah.
And I still kind of feel like that. I mean, but burn it to change it. Don't just burn it down to fucking destroy stuff. It's like take it down and then build it back up with the same bricks but better. Do you know? Because it's like, what's your man? What did he say? Cornel West said it, but it's he was using this Samuel Beckett quote: "Try, fail better." You know,
very good.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, just like, but the world can be like, look. I mean, this is going to sound a bit controversial, but like, I understand.
Where saying something controversial.
I know. No. Okay, I'll put this way. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's like, hey, look, Ireland has a big problem with racism towards the travellers. All right.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
a bit like with black people in America, they're all tarred with the same brush because of the criminal elements. So I understand why people think that way, but just because I understand why people think that way does not mean that thinking that way is right. Like just because 10% of a group of people do terrible stuff, that doesn't mean that we got to tar the rest of them. Of course, I mean everyone fucking knows this is fairly obvious, but it's just that it's weird that. Like I remember in primary school, there was a movement to make it or a positivity movement towards travellers. That's when it started, and there's much more of it now. Yeah. So there is way more. We had only started, and there'd never been anything like that before. Like my generation, never. So I just don't understand why. Like after like Jim Crow and during the '60s, when Black Americans were allowed, African Americans were allowed to go to school and stuff. Why there wasn't something done at that stage to try and just be more inclusive? Because like, it just blows my mind the fucking shitstorm over there, you know?
Yeah, well, I think the kind of answer in a very uneducated kind of way is that because of it was systemic racism and the policies and the systems. You can go right there. You can have a wee bit of a civil rights thing going on here, but the police department is the police department. The government is set up the way the government is set up, and it's like unless you radically change everything, that's just the way. That's how it seems. Like I don't know. Like it's very.
I mean, it looks like to me the only way to it just needs this radical change. But if they're going to give it, I've no idea. Like, and if they don't give it, I think there's kind of too much at stake now for the protesters for them to back down. Now I mean they're not. Problem with them is that they're not organised. It's not like, say, the civil rights in Northern Ireland in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. That was organised. Or even if it wasn't organised, you had Sinn Féin in the background who could come in as a political wing of it,
Yeah.
Like at the minute, there's no one in America because you have this completely non-democratic two-party system, which is ludicrous. Yeah. Do you know? I just don't understand it. So, like, hopefully something will come about where leaders
I've seen things this morning about... proper moves into things like defunding the police and getting rid of it and starting like going, this obviously isn't working, we need something else. And go, right, that's cool. But immediately it's like, what, like, so private security firms? And go, no, let's not do that. That's definitely 100%, million % worse than...
defunding, it has to be done very carefully because it's not about... Because if you defund them, the first people they're going to fire are the black cops.
Yeah.
Simple as that. The black and brown cops are the first ones to go. What they should do is just take back the tanks, take back the guns, and take back
the
whatever.
Toys. Yeah.
And just say, all right, look, some of you can have guns. There's specialised guys and SWAT teams and all that kind of stuff. But like, I mean, you see pictures of the SWAT teams. There's lads there that are fucking twice as heavy as I am. It's ridiculous. I'm heavy. I'm well overweight. It's crazy that these.
You see that one of that guy that like he was obviously at least 9 foot, but he was also 9 foot in diameter as well. Like it's just like, oh my god, that is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Like I mean, the thing is, I don't know the answer, and I don't know anyone knows the answer because you can't suddenly go right. Cops can't have guns anymore because that's obviously not going to work either. When we set up the fact that the Garda here don't have guns, which they do, but you know what I'm on about. you couldn't do that now if there had been a history of the last 100 years of selling guns to civilians and then take it away. You know, like it's like
no, of course not.
yeah.
But at the same time, Tommy, I mean, I used to have rows with people of this, like you'd grown up in school and all. Like, you know, the police are only what 120, 130 years old as a thing, as an institution.
Yeah.
We did all right before them.
What was the equivalent? Just militia? Was it like?
No, well, I mean, it kind of depended. Say, like at the time of Jesse James and all that, there'd be posses. So a posse, Jesse James would commit a robbery. They'd round up a group of men and they'd try and catch.
But would that be like if something happened in my area and I go door to door and go, come on, Mick, come on, Stephen. There's no legal thing behind it. It's just a load of lads going out to get the guy.
Man, this kind of stuff happened when I was a young lad. Like if travellers pulled up into someone's field, a group of lads would go down and get them out of there.
Yeah.
You know, without fighting. You know, or else horses would go into land or whatever. Same thing. Group of lads would show up and say, "Get your fucking horses off," and they'd round up the horses and they'd put them into the carts, whatever, and they'd bring them into Exeter town and hand over the horses to the ISPCC until whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah.
So there is that kind. So there's that type of justice, which is a bit kind of vigilante, which I'd be a bit.
Well, it is because if you have, as Ireland does, the racist tendency towards those type of people, then you know you need someone who's not you know, in either way.
Like what they only really had before the police was what did they call them? Legislators or something. I don't know. So you had the judges and whatever, and they would make their judgments, and then you'd have the fucking kind of like the bailiffs and all them.
Yeah.
They'd come around and knock heads, stuff like that. But like, look, I mean, I'm obviously I'm bullshitting, because if anyone knows about the police, we didn't do that well before the police came along, because like there's never been a safer time to be alive. Murder rates have never been so low as what they are now through the history of mankind. So like, it wasn't that good. It's just that, I mean, like, kind of my problem with the police is that like what is the job of the police now rather than what it was? Like at the start it was like, okay, look, there's far too much murdering and raping going on, we gotta stop that. Whereas now it's like, you parked on 2 fucking yellow lines. Like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? That's not policing.
It's like definitely there's a money generation element to it.
Of course.
You know, it's
so
a
like,
business, which is
and it's just it's the whole like you're just upholding these state laws which are ridiculous. Like, you know, like here in Poland, like if I'm found with like a gram of weed, I can get like 5 to 8 years in prison for like something that's like what 3-4 joints. Get the fuck out. That's nonsense. And like I know cops that smoke weed here. It's ridiculous, you know, and they all know the law's bullshit, but the politicians are just, oh no, we can't do that because the Catholics are going, oh, no one gives a fuck about weed. It's nonsense, you know, but like, that's just my big problem with it. It's just that they're not policing properly anymore, and you can't trust them, and it's just crap, you know.
Yeah, and how often have you know, everyone has a story about ringing the cops and them not coming for an hour later, or you know, but like they're there to give you the parking fine immediately, and you know, I remember a friend of mine actually when I was at college, and she was talking about that there was 2 guys trying to break into the back of her house, and she was on the phone to the cops, and the cop said, "Oh, you better get someone down there to help you." And she's going, "Fucking ringing you." And she's going, "Oh yeah, well no, we won't be down for ages." Like, all right, thanks, yeah, great. Yeah. What do you do with that? Like, oh, it's just I don't know.
It's ridiculous. But like, I mean, you know, on the other hand, like I've always had it. Any meetings or dealings I've ever had with police in Ireland have always been fairly good. I've never been in, and I was in trouble once, but that was my own fault. I'll own that. But any other times when like, you know, people would be breaking into pubs or something was robbed or all that, grand. Or any time, like there was a couple of times I was assaulted, they were fine, like, and they were good, and so I can't, like, the Irish police, they're grand, I think, really. Like, we can't compare it to the American stuff, because it's just...
Oh, definitely not. I don't think so. It's not that. It's like, kind of, it's the element of the gods, rather than, you know, I want to kill you because of your colour of your skin.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just like, like a lot of them is that kind of farmer attitude to get off my land. Like, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I hope everything works out well over there. I mean, I think they just have to keep the pressure up a bit without. But like, we spoke last week about like sometimes violence is needed for change. Like the civil rights thing in Northern Ireland, like Did it work? I mean, it kind of worked. It more or less worked because it meant that companies had to hire Catholics. There was always a bias towards Protestants before that, so that had to go. You know. So okay, so it did win that way, but then but also as well, like there was the massacres. There was Bloody Sunday and Ballymurphy as well. It's like, what the fuck? So like, I don't know. I'm afraid it's going to get a lot worse for the protesters before it does get better. Because like, I mean, like Kent State was the place I couldn't think of last week.
That I immediately remembered once it got off.
Like it wasn't until then that the Vietnam protests were really working, you know. And then even then they had to go on even more and more and more before there was change. And Trump, you know, he's a bad human, human.
Yeah. Yeah, like even his friends are coming out against him. Like what was it? Mitt Romney this morning and George W. has said no thanks. You know what I mean? Like they're like.
Hey, isn't George W. a strange character?
He's definitely comes across as a person who was told he had to be present and he's going, no lads, you know, and then did it and then he turned into this kind of, I don't know, painter who's just so gentle and sweet. But
as soon as he's done, he's just off painting and like talking to rhubarb.
I know, like what. Killed millions of people, or whatever is the statistic. I don't know. Millions might. That's probably not fair, but like certainly, you know, had an impact on the world on an awful lot of people. Like, and this kind of, I don't know, just kind of, what's the word where you reinvention of himself, or maybe it's always like that, and it's like that. Maybe the conspiracy boys, all right, that doesn't matter who the president is, it's not them in control. Or it's the civil service if you don't want to quite go conspiracy or whatever it is. But yeah, it's so odd. Like, see all the thing about giving sweets to Michelle Obama, and he even did it at his dad's funeral and all that kind of stuff. It's so weird. It's so incongruent with the kind of, I suppose, the face.
Have you seen there's Epstein's name? I heard has been linked with him because Epstein had a painting of Bill Clinton in a dress.
Oh yeah.
Is awesome. And there's another one of George W. And he's sitting kind of cross-legged, and there's two Jenga towers have collapsed at his knees, kind of thing. So it's all like, oh well, you know, who plays Jenga? I was like, I play Jenga. I play Jenga the whole time. It's great. But anyway, well, it also symbols the two towers and children playing with Jenga. I'm like, oh God Almighty, give it a rest. He probably painted it himself, like, you know.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, he's a good painter. It's not like Hitler, like, or he's a terrible painter. But he seems to, have talent in his thing. Oh, it's all so strange. It's like, I don't know. It's come back to that thing we were talking about before, that, like, since nuclear weapons were invented or discovered or rediscovered, whatever it is, that, there's so few multiple universes anymore because we've killed ourselves more than we have things. So it's only going to get stranger and stranger and stranger. And Jesus Christ, it's certainly living up to it this year. Remember the year where all the celebrities died?
But you know what? Sorry, what'd you say?
Remember the year where all the celebrities died and it was crazy, whatever that was, 2018, was it? Whatever it was. And now 2020, it's just so, what?
But like, I would argue with you one point though, and it's brought up in that Pronoia book.
Right.
And it's that, like, and sure you've heard it before. It's kind of that, like political life and this kind of world view of what's happening in the world is usually the complete opposite of what's actually happening in the world. Like, the world's actually pretty good at the minute, except for okay, the protests are bad, but not everyone. The vast majority of people now have running water, toilets, cell phones. Mobile phone or internet. Well, not the vast majority, but like a lot of, like,
more than what we ever had.
Yeah, capitalism has done a lot of good for a lot of people. Basically. So like the world is a better place now than it was 50 years ago. Might seem a bit cuckoo bananas, but it's actually a lot better. So we probably are moving in the right direction. But it's just kind of the last kind of throes of the fucking empire or whatever. Just don't want to let go.
Well, I suppose it's like all of those old world powers and old world structures and all of these things are probably just not capable of being sustained within, something that's becoming hopefully a bit more kind of socialist or a bit more kind of, expanded towards everyone rather than, Mr. Amazon or whatever. But it's Steve Pinker, his book, Angels, Ages of a Better Nature Over Angels, something, that book. Yeah, which I have an audiobook, but I've never read. But it's highly criticized as well as being, biased and fudging things as well. So I don't know. I'd have to read it and make my own kind of thing on it. But it's like, and Jordan Peterson he's probably taken it from that as well. And Joe Rogan talked about that an awful lot, which is probably enough for some people to go, well, that's not true then.
I don't know, like maybe the whole like us liking the whole solar punk movement. Maybe that's the movement that's going to come for our like kids.
Yeah. Because that would be awesome.
It's great, but and as well because I from knowing like the lads I know who are teaching younger people, like they're so smarter about or they have far better thoughts about like the environment and environmental consciousness and awareness than what even we do. So let alone like what our parents do. So I don't know, man. Like I'm still hopeful the world's going to be getting better the whole time because it has been getting better always.
I have a long-term positivity, but like the medium, the short-term. Might be some shit that needs to happen, but I think like if we make it to 1,000, years hence from here, I think it could be fairly awesome. Although maybe the Greeks thought the same, and look at what all we had to go through in the meantime since then, right, until we get the phones, right, there's a lot of shit that has to happen. But then we get phones, and then it's okay. But then the track hit, you see. This whole kind of tracking thing, so of a friend of mine who really should know better was sending me videos last night about on WhatsApp about 5G and mind control, and I was just going, don't send me this shit, man, please, don't be this person. And he's going, oh no, it's just that bit in, no, look at that entire thread, and it was like a video and then 25 videos posted after it on Facebook by the same guy. You know what it is, 5G, Bill Gates, China, all this stuff, and it's like the Pope, it's like a descending order of these things, and I was just going like, what when it gets to the point where there's people who should know better sending these things, that I think once we get past the kind of mistrust of expert, because we've been lied to so much by supposed experts. So that's one of the things that need to be, I think that's one of the big hurdles that we need to get over to get to the next bit where we need to be, where it's a trust in the people who are meant to be doing the things that benefit us, rather than the immediate kind of knee-jerk response of that Bill Gates is obviously bad because he's a bad person and vaccines then for bad, and then the whole conspiracy thing, rather than going, well, someone has to do this. Someone had come up with the different vaccines or the different medical things, and like, can we stop being pissed off for thinking that they're for something bad? Because but they have been historically, some terrible things, and you have the smallpox blankets, and we know these things, but until we can get that whole thing sorted out, where the people who are meant to be doing the things are actually doing the things to say, and I'm just making a vaccine because I want the world to be better. Not slipping chips in underneath it, whatever. And then the people get a trust. And then, it's that thing with fake news, I suppose, where you have to balance between the free speech where people are allowed to say whatever they want, but you also have to go, well, we have to point that this isn't true. Because, it's like, that's why things have gotten out of hand, and that's why, there's people. Well, it doesn't help that I suppose that the president is saying to inject bleach or, that, but it's not even to, there's loads of stuff like that going about. And that's another thing that I can't stand about Facebook, is that kind of constant kind of assertion of ludicrousness as fact. And, and then the 5 other videos that you can back up that same fact. It's like the flat earth stuff where you just go, no, just get to the end of that and then send me the video. And then no one gets to the end of it and sends you the video, because it's like, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, because I think you should be allowed to have personal sovereignty over your thoughts, ideas, and opinions, and everyone. See what it's not that everyone's opinion is as valid as other people's. Having it is allowed, but I do not know as much about politics or the thing as an expert does. Therefore, my opinion on what America should do about its police department shouldn't be listened to as much as someone who spent some time doing it. But I'm allowed to have my opinion or whatever.
Go listen to Noam Chomsky. All right. He knows. If you want something on that. Or what's the Serbian guy who touches his nose a lot? He's hilarious. Slavo.
I can't understand him.
I can never say his name. Talks like he's brilliant though. He's a genius. even someone like Jordan Peterson's very smart. You know what I mean? But has been shown to not be as good as he thinks he is on stuff as well. You know what I mean?
So he suffers a bit from that thing as well. That whole thing of, if you think you're an expert, and if you're an expert in one certain area. Yeah. That if you say something about something completely unrelated to your area expertise, it's treated as the same.
Exactly. You should calm down a bit there, Jordan, and just stick to the psychological stuff, you know. No, I agree with you. But there is, and they have started doing it, I know in Irish schools. British school, Britain is so far behind the world, it's ridiculous at this stage. It's just this critical thinking thing. That's all people need, is that, like, because critical thinking is just like, okay, you don't actually have to believe everything you hear. Do your own looking into it, you know? So, I don't know. But I honestly, I do think younger people are more in touch with it and more in tune with it, because, like, it's our generation that are freaked out by social media and Twitter, and old people haven't a fucking clue when it comes to the internet. Whereas young people are born with it, so they're like, I don't care. I'm on TikTok looking at fucking Chinese builders throw up hospitals. You know, it's grand. Shut up, will you?
Yeah, it's so odd.
Shut up, boomer.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't think. Do you think like Facebook's going to be around in 10 years? Do you think that?
God, no. I hope not. You know.
Will it be like Facebook ended, but it'll be whatever?
I think if their currency thing had worked, I think there would have been, but that's been pissed on. I think the Polish government moved fairly quickly on that. I think they were one of the ones who just said, no.
Right, okay.
Fuck off. You know, thank God. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's a great video by, who was that old Greek, he was the Greek finance minister when Greece went belly up. Yanis something is his name. He's got a mad name. Sure, he's Greek. Yeah. That's not racist. That's xenophobic. I don't know. Fuck you.
That's xenophobic.
And
which is
we're all the same race, man.
Racism.
We're all the same race, you know, human race. Yeah. You know, I'm not a dog.
Yeah. On the bigotry scale, let's have a look at where that lands.
So anyway, he has this video. Or I think it's taken from a TED Talk. But he has this video saying, right, this we can sort this. This is easy. All right. What we do is we get the billionaires and the companies who are making billions, the Amazons, the Googles, Jeff Bezos, yada yada, all these people. And what we do is we say, work away, do what you want, make as much money as you want. But once you get over $1 billion per year, then we take that profit and we put that into bonds in your company. So your company keeps continuing to want to grow, but we, the people, get the money. And this continues for generations and generations and generations and generations until eventually everyone on the planet is fucking loaded with money and money becomes useless.
Irrelevant. Yeah.
It's such an easy, simple, genius idea. And I hope the fuck someone listens to him, you know?
But it won't. They won't have, like, I mean...
well, I don't know, man. He's big in that world, in the world of economics. He is, and it's that your man that I listen to, McWilliams, he brings him up the whole time.
All right.
So he is and he was, you know, I mean, he already has.
Not like a kind of a fringe guy, right? He's
no, he's definitely not fringe. Like he definitely has kudos because he was the finance minister of a European country. Like,
yeah, but not at the best time for finance in that country.
Well, actually, no, he was the best man at the time because he brought them out.
I thought you meant he was there when it fell down.
No. He was one of the ones. Remember when it looked like there was anarchy and they were voting in these mad parts? So he's one of them.
Oh, right, okay.
And because he's such a left field thinker, he was brought in and everyone went, oh shit, why aren't we listening to you? You're a genius, you know? So, I don't know, I'd be hopeful. I mean, it's a great idea because, I mean, it doesn't, because like if you're going to tax Bezos and say, we're going to take your money, but instead it's like, no, you keep your money and the money that you make, we'll put that back into your company so you can make even more money until nobody needs money and everyone
Explain me this. Why are Amazon, Apple, Google, etc., not taxed? What is the thing? Because I'm not really sure I understand it.
They are taxed, but they just hide. Like, they hide out in Ireland because Ireland has such a shitty tax rate. That's why.
But they don't pay any tax, though, in Ireland, do they?
They do pay tax. They pay corporation tax, and they pay tax.
But it's like 1% or something, though.
Yeah, and they pay tax on all their employees as well. So, I mean, they still contribute quite a lot to the tax bill. just not as much as if they were, say, in France. What's mad about Facebook is that, like, I used to buy Facebook ads for a couple of companies I worked for years ago, and all of the invoices were, I think, Limerick or Dublin was the address on them. So, like,
Right.
I'm running the ads for a Polish company in Poland, in Polish, but the tax is in Ireland. That's strange. That's really strange, you know. But, like, it's, for me, the whole European Union is kind of nonsense, because it should be like, well, I mean, why is Irish tax rate different than Polish tax rate?
Yeah,
Which is different than, it's like we're either the same thing or we're not. Like, what is
or
it?
like why? You know? Well, I know it's not happening now, but why is the diesel in Northern Ireland dearer than it is in Ireland? And also if it's cheaper, why am I not allowed to buy it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. Well, now I can't for
nonsense.
the whole
Absolutely nonsense. Well, I mean, that's gonna happen as well eventually. It's going to become a federal thing, like America. But then it'll become regionalised, and like Dublin will be federal of Ireland, and Cork will be federal, and I think the way it's going is like city states kind of thing rather than nation states, because cities now they make so much money.
Yeah.
You know, rather than
essentially what Italy was a city state rather than
everywhere was. Yeah.
Like Venice was its own independence type thing. Yeah. I kind of like that, but I suppose it wouldn't be much good to someone who lives in RD, because we wouldn't perhaps have the budgets to do anything of interest. Like, no, we can't do that. Oh, shit.
Yeah, what were we supposed to talk about?
Well, I tell you, we were going to talk about Aleister Crowley, because we watched a documentary. It was a pretty shit documentary, I have to say. Not that it was a shit documentary, it would be a great documentary about Lon Milo the cat. Less so about Aleister Crowley. What was it called? The Great Beast 666.
Great Beast 666. Yeah.
Not to be confused with In Search of the Great Beast 666. I was watching a few other documentaries. There's that thing with my brain where I can't think of the word. And there's one that I sent to you last night. You were saying that is this not the one we've seen? And I was going, I think what it is that it's someone who's taken every Aleister Crowley documentary and edited it into one so that he can make money as a anything.
That was good of him to do that for us.
Yeah, it was very good of him. Fortunately, I had watched one of the other ones previous to it, and I've just gone, that's spliced in.
And I had watched the Channel 4 one. That's the Brian Cox narrates that, the old actor Brian Cox, not the smiley professor dude.
Yeah, the guy from Braveheart, the uncle.
Yeah. And it's good. That one's I like that one. That one's pretty good. But come here, look. I know probably shorter on time than what we would have liked. We were rambling, but like, do you want me to sum up how I feel about Crowley? Because I want to sum up how I feel about Crowley.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to like Aleister Crowley, okay? Yeah. I want it because the Telema thing and the Guardian Angel stuff, and just, it seems that he was someone who took the idea of where magic was at that time, the Golden Dawn and all that, and Hermeticism and Freemasons, yada, 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 and just said, nah, we don't want to take this seriously, and kind of look into ourselves and look into the mind and explore that. And like, wow, if he'd have stopped there, that'd have been fucking wonderful. But Tommy, I'm having real trouble. Tommy,
right, which bit?
having real trouble. Having real trouble with how bad he was to his children. Yeah. And first of all, and then secondly, the whole eating and drinking of piss and shit.
Yeah, but that bit's not true though. It's not true. I mean,
So how did your man get dysentery then in Italy?
He drank water from a stream for the sheep blood streams. Like, I mean, it's true. That whole thing.
No, but dysentery only comes from shit.
Oh well,
no, it can be animal shit, I suppose. Actually, yeah.
No, it is, and the wife has said that she made all that up. Like that's pretty much.
Really? Why isn't that in the fucking documentary?
Because every single one of those documentaries, apart from the Lon Milo the Cat one, is written by or produced by Christian viewpoint as a shock piece.
Okay, but in Telema and in the magic of there's Telema and
I'm not
OT.
defending Aleister Crowley.
No, I know that. But in Telema and in OTO, yeah. Because there's two, they branched off, didn't they?
Well, no, the OTO existed as a separate entity.
Sorry, that was before, and then he became the head of it, yeah? Yeah. So, like, in Telema, is there, like, sex magic, and is there the consummation of... Because there's stuff like menstrual blood in cakes and...
Yeah, I'm not really... I don't think so much in Telema or Telema, whatever it's pronounced, but it's definitely in the OTO, because all the sex magic stuff is definitely OTO kind of... that's where the sex magic is. I think, according to at least a couple of documentaries and a few books. See, this is the worst thing about Aleister Crowley is I was looking at it. I have four biographies of him, and I've read them, and there's things in two of them that agree, and it's like the Gospels. And it's like one will go with what the newspaper said, one will go with what other people said, and then he has his own hagiography, which is like, I mean, you can't trust that, obviously, because so it's like it's hard to know exactly the thing, or at least for me. And the other thing is, the Thelemites are the most sticklers for detail, more than Buddhists, which are they're as soon as you say something remotely wrong about Buddhism, 28 billion people will be on Reddit going. You had a letter out of place there, I think you might.
Well, what's his number? 92, isn't it? 92 is the number. 93. No, 92, Tommy. Tommy, it's 92.
Yeah, 92. 94. Italia 94.
Italia 97, yeah. 12, yeah. 14.
So yeah,
I presume all this is because there are Thelemite churches, I suppose you call groups and whatever. I looked them up. There's 3 here in Poland, in Gdansk, Warsaw, and in Wrocław as well. So in like the bigger kind of cities, there are places, but like I'm like, okay, like you go along to see what it's like, but I'm not fucking taking your Eucharist if it has some bird's fucking period blood in it, lads. That's fucked up.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I see. That's my kind of limits of. That's why I hate talking about Aleister Crowley, because I know an awful lot about him in a kind of a, I wouldn't win a pub quiz.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Dotios definitely has the sex magic. You see, Tlima is more of a philosophy, I think, although it is the religion, it is the thing.
They have services and stuff.
But he also has the AA, which is, the first thing although he says he didn't create the AA is the actual kind of how this world is run spiritually. It's like he was just talking about it. It's not that he created it, whatever. But it's the Gnostic Mass is the thing. It's definitely, I know Thelemites do that, so that has to be part of it, which is, I suppose, there is probably the communion thing. Whether it's the actual sperm and period blood or not, someone will have to tell me. I don't know. I've never been a joiner, so I've never joined any of these kind of things or whatever. I always kind of read Crowley from a very outside point of view. I like him as a character. I think he's very interesting. He's definitely glorified more than he should be, in that he was probably a terrible person. But you're not allowed to say that. But I think that's okay. Like, I mean, John Lennon's a terrible person. Abbey Road's a fantastic album. What do you want from me? You know what I mean? Like,
it's like I've told you this before. I call it the Kanye West effect.
Yeah, it's that. Yeah, who's
good producer, good musician.
Very quiet at the minute. Not saying much. So yeah, no, I do like a lot of his ideas. I think he was shitty to his kids. He was definitely shitty to his wives. Well, he's that whole thing of that he's. Of all the magicians, equivalent, like say you have your John Dees or Israel Regardis or all the Golden Dawn people, anyone you want to name. He's the one my mum knows. She's heard his name. But my mum definitely hasn't heard of Matters or any of these kind of things. Yeah. But and that's one of the things. I was watching a video today, and it was just talked about that whole idea of. That when you become part of the secret chiefs or whatever, which is the final part of, after you've got your Holy Guardian Angel, you've met Coranzon, you've moved up to the entire thing, that your name lives on. That's part of how you can recognise someone as a secret chief, as one of the persons who's joined us, is that in the sense of that Aleister Crowley he's part of, in the same way that Shakespeare is, he's just one of those names that's just there. And he definitely has influenced the things greatly, but like, Does he influence anything without him being on the cover of Sgt. Pepper? That's the kind of first where he comes in. But then the 60s very much come in line with what he believed. Then you have Jimmy Page in the 70s talking about the whole thing again. And then I think the Ozzy Osbourne song's the 80s, isn't it? Mr. Crowley, which is the wrong pronunciation, obviously, of it. Which is interesting because in most of the documentaries they pronounce his name correctly, apart from one which they pronounce it every second time the wrong way.
There's a TV, L. Ron Hubbard is in it, and he says, my good friend Aleister Crowley. He's like, he's not your good friend. You can't even pronounce his name. The fuck?
But it's like, then you have, of course, like the whole thing coming from it as well, that you have, Scientology and,
Barbara Bush.
Well, and he looks a bit Trumpish too as well, if you ask me. In some of those pictures. But the big thing, the big problem, and the kind of big misunderstanding, and it's in those documentaries that are on YouTube that we're watching, is this idea of do what thou wilt is equivalent to do whatever you want, which it's not remotely.
No.
And it's like, it's nearly that sedge that it's, do whatever please, and it's all about like the heathenry, and almost like talking about as if it's Anton LaVey stuff again, where it goes, let's be the best sinner in town and all that. Definitely an element of Crowley, of course, because he's rebelling against things. But the whole do as thou wilt is way more restrictive than do what you want. It's actually nearly the opposite. It's find the thing you're here to do, might be the thing you want to do, and then you have to go and do it. That's not do whatever you want. That's literally the opposite of do whatever you want. It's you have to do the thing that you are here to do. And that's, I find that, let me see, taxing, I suppose, in that that's the thing that's least understood about the whole thing. But like, it's kind of worded a wee bit better, do whatever you want. Do you mean do whatever you want? Nah, no, I don't mean that. I mean the complete opposite, please. Do this one thing that you're here for. Why didn't you just say do that one thing you're here for? Didn't ring, didn't have the same.
It's like, it's like, I was, how do I tell this quickly? I was going to college with a girl, and she was sounding. She came in one day. Well, I thought she was sounding. She came in one day, and she had a Rolling Stones tattoo on her, like between her belly and her belt. You know that area?
Oh yeah.
To the right.
Yeah.
Sexy as hell, right? But it was a Rolling Stones, the lips and the tongue. I was like, holy shit, you're a Rolling Stones fan. I didn't know that about you. And she's like, oh yeah, well I like that Satisfaction song. And I went, oh, God almighty. But I just like the logos. No.
You ever see that meme of your ones wearing the Nevermind t-shirt going, who the fuck's Kurt Cobain? Why do people say keep Kurt Cobain?
No, one of the Kardashians or something, isn't it? The young one. Anyway, no, I get, but like to do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Sure, that's fucking transurfing, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like it's so many of these other things have come from that, and when you do get to know like what the actual intention and meaning was, like how can you not kind of agree with that? Like find what you're supposed to do, and if like, but the problem with that is that it kind of does give people an out with their kind of responsibilities.
Absolutely,
like Crowley was like just the shittest father of all time. Like
until his last kid, which that he was super dad, allegedly.
All right, and that one doesn't show up in any of the documentaries.
It doesn't show up much. It's like it's kind of weird because it kind of what happens with most kind of things with Aleister Crowley, Italy, heroin addict, dies in Hastings in a boarding house. But there's a marriage. Well, no, it's not a marriage. There's a kid called Aleister Crowley that happens towards the end of his life, and where he laments that maybe he was wrong and that he put an awful lot of energy. Depends. Again, it's one of those kind of things that's in some sources, not in other sources. But up to them. And and kids die, and and he just doesn't seem to give a fuck, or at least it doesn't impact him in the way that if like my kid dies, that's it.
Yeah, and then because like his thing is like, well, I'm not here to be a father. I'm here to preach this thing and bring on a new eon or be the prophet of a new eon. It's like, okay, fair enough, but like, come on, man. Be sound to your children for fuck's sake,
Considering how shitty a childhood he had and how crap his parents were to him.
But sure, but then again, like, I mean, look at fucking Buddha. Buddha left a pregnant woman. He just
I mean, that's there's a lot to be said, and it's that kind of, I suppose, it's the spiritual bypassing thing where they go, oh well, it doesn't really matter in the big thing because none of this is real and all that, and go, fuck off, it is real.
It's real while you're doing it.
While you're here, like it's that thing that people talk about. It was actually Alan Chapman who said this example to me, and I think it's really good. It's that when you go to India and you see like the poverty and you see the dogs dying on the street or whatever it is, not to pick on India, but it's just what we were talking about. And it's easy for people to go, oh, well, that's the incarnation they've chosen, and that's you shouldn't interfere with that, and you shouldn't. Stuart Wilde talks about as well about talking about sending these righteous bags of grain to Africa, to feed the starving, and it's all just leave them because that's what they want. Don't interfere. And it's like, let's not do that. And an awful lot of the reason why the world is the way we are is because people have done that. And just to clarify, Alan Chapman was saying it was a bad thing. He wasn't agreeing with it. He was saying like that. That's the spiritual bypass. It's terrible. Don't do that. But it's like there's an element of that to Crowley, and that what I'm doing is more important than all of this other kind of
being decent.
Being decent, and like perhaps on some sort of level that argument can be made. But there's plenty of people who are, world leaders, change the world, who are, nice to their kids, whose every single wife wasn't an alcoholic that ended up in a mental institution, But I mean, that's I suppose that one's a bit unfair because he could have just been attracted to dangerous kind of, the borderline personality women, and
Like I like the stuff with the kind of with the Golden Dawn and all that, because it's like, I mean, I think since reading up on Hermeticism, even though the Kabbalion is bonkers, but like other stuff that I've read about it and the way Terence McKenna talks about it, I've learned quite a lot about it, and it's a fucking pretty cool philosophy, Yeah. And then with the Kabbalah as well, the Kabbalah is mental. I've been reading some stuff about that as well, like the Jewish way of looking at it, there's the Christian way of looking at it, there's other ways of looking at it. There's the fucking the Rider White tarot cards have a basis in it as well. It's just fucking nuts. Like, it's great. But like, I think that all that stuff is brilliant, but it's just I can't get rid of this thing about him being a bit of a douchebag. But like I do like the thing that to do what they will should be the whole of the law. I like that, and I think it's a good way.
And I mean, the end of it is love is the law, love under will. Like, I mean, that's the thing. Like, and I just put it in perspective.
That one, but you know what? That one took me. I didn't really get that at first. Love is the law of love under will. What does it mean, love under will? I had to kind of
you have
think
to
about it for a bit.
Some people, like, I remember there used to be a huge kind of debate by particularly one person in CMG was saying that, he's basically telling everyone to rape people. I go like, how are you getting that?
Whoa,
and then I went, hold on, no, I do kind of see, but it's a massive misunderstanding of basic words, I suppose. But it's like it's the and the other thing of every man and woman is a star, which is like poetically lovely anyway. But it's just that it's not saying that. Although maybe it is, but here my understanding of this is not saying that every man and woman is a unique kind of everyone's a star, everyone's special. It's that everyone has their own orbit, everyone has their own place, everyone has their own way that it interacts with the universe. The star here and the star here, they're not interfering with each other, I suppose. And even when they are, that's part of the beauty of the whole thing. And I think that's kind of fits in with your will. You're here. You're a star, so you have a certain place, a certain function, a certain thing that you have to do. And if a star stops doing that, it causes havoc around it. But when it's in alignment with the universe, it's everything is kind of harmonious and that kind of thing. But like, I mean, he definitely didn't have a harmonious life, and so if that was his will, it's not the New Age kind of sense of that the universe will have your back and everything will work out perfect, and it'll stop raining and there'll be lovely weather for your wedding or whatever it is, just because you put the idea out there. It's saying it can be tortures, and his name that he takes on in the Golden Dawn is Perdurado, if I'm pronouncing that right, which means I will persevere until the end. And he kind of goes, I regret that, because that seemed to be a kind of like in a sense a sigil that brought forth a lot of pain and suffering in my life. But yeah, like even before the magic stuff, that whole incident of him when he was the mountain climber and leaving a man to die and not helping, and there's a terrible story in one of the documentaries saying that he was invoking demons in a tent and stuff, and that's all rubbish. Like, that's it's like, oh man, he was just an arsehole. You don't have to invoke a demon to that. And then that other thing, the other one that's known about him is this whole idea of sacrificing children, which in context of today is that you were allowed to talk about sacrificing children, but you weren't allowed to talk about masturbating, which is what he was talking about. So he's saying that, the sacrifice of children, which is, having a wank and sperm going everywhere. So you're sacrificing the sperm. And that was acceptable to write about in the book, but if he had said have a wank, wasn't allowed to talk, wouldn't been allowed to print it, and would have been blasphemy or whatever that other word is for the sexual one. What is it? The thing that ladies chatterleys love or thing. That,
okay, no, I get you. That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, I mean, like, he's other things are a question. But Jason Louv has a big bit at the end of his book about John Dee, where he has a real big go at Crowley and about, like, this guy is adored, and people forget all about the kind of nasty, shitty things he's done and just kind of gloss over that for this, Aleister Crowley. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in flux.
I mean, obviously I can't speak for anyone, but like I can't imagine that there's many Thelemites who don't know this bad stuff about him.
Yeah, and either accept it or.
No, because it's not like. Well, I mean, there probably are people born into the religion, but it's not like whole nations like Poland and Ireland are born into Catholicism.
Yeah.
And you don't really ask questions until you're a teenager. Like, you find Telema and you become a Telemite. It's a bit what's the one? There's one big Christian religion is like that. Not Mormons, the Quakers. Quakers don't go looking for people. You become a Quaker. You know.
Right. Same as Satanism, the Church of Satan. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like I mean, you're going to get into it with your eyes open, unless you are born into it. But I really doubt there's that many Telemites who are born into Telema. It's mad. But he's like the magic stuff is. Well, for me now, I mean, obviously, chaos magic has taken over so much. During the first documentary, where they're all sitting around and they're doing the mass and the chanting and all that, I wrote in my notes, like, how did they not burst out laughing? Because it's gobbledygook. It's not words, it's just sounds, and it's just...
Well, it's barbarous names, and, like, that's... Yeah. You know, it's...
No, I know, like, we spoke about this before in the Satanism podcast, about, like, some people need ceremony and ritual for them to believe it, but, like... I think you can shortcut a lot of that, and you can just rather look at the philosophy of it rather than like, I'm going to... Like, there was one bit where they said that your man's done this every Monday for the last 25 years. Who the fuck has that much commitment to anything? Could you imagine giving up? Could you imagine giving up every fucking Monday for 25 years, Tommy? Like, it's impossible.
Well, do you ever imagine giving up every Sunday to going to Mass? People did that for a long while, you know, or whatever, it's Saturday for Jews.
Yeah, but like it's Monday, and there could be a match on, or there could be.
I could have a hangover.
I have to kill. Like, they want like fucking kids as piano practice. Oh shit! I have to call off the first one in 24 years and 51 weeks. What? Fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, no, but I mean, it is to be admired too. That kind of stuff. Like, it's that the whole thing of why the apart, unless you're Spud, who just decides to meet his HGA and then does about 4 days later. Most people aren't like that. So the kind of commitment level in magic is, you know, equivalent to these things. 25 years, I haven't done anything for 25 years in a row, every week. I've ate most days, not even every day for 25 years. I haven't done that.
It's crazy, huh? Yeah. You know? I mean, what do you think? Do you think that because he left, there's this idea that because he stopped doing the ritual halfway through and went off to Paris to meet, what's his name, Matters?
Yeah.
That bad luck followed him after that. But I wouldn't be so sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, that bad luck certainly followed that house, because many times it's burnt down now and all that kind of stuff. It was burnt down twice in the last 2 years or something, or last few years. But you could equally say then, well, you know, it was Jimmy Page who was the bad luck, because it was fine until Jimmy Page bought and sold it. You know what I mean? But it's also interesting that the kind of Loch Ness stuff, the other demon or the other monster of Loch Ness or stuff like that. Yeah. I don't know, but like, I mean, the whole thing, the Victor Neuberg stuff in the desert, that's crazy. That's
horrible.
Proper. Yeah, that's like and there's I think his name's Alan Bennett, who was the guy who got him into Buddhism in the beginning. I might be wrong in the name, but something like that. And he wasn't particularly nice to him either. Like, he definitely used people to get you know what he wanted and stuff, and women but I suppose I'm not justifying whatever. You should read some Crowley stuff to be have a complete kind of outlook on your magic kind of studies or whatever.
I'm after buying something called Living. I think it's called Living with Telema or Living Telema.
Yeah, I have it on my shelf.
That's the Shoemaker book is his name. So I got that because I looked up like what's the best book about it rather than reading Crowley, because Crowley's books are. I know some of them are quite good, but a lot of them are sprawling, and I just don't really know where to begin. I'd like to have an overview rather than that. And like, I ordered it last night before watching the documentaries, and then after them I was like,
cancel it.
Why did I bother? No, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, but he's like he is separate from it in the sense of that, like the whole the Book of the Law. The Book of the Law is worth reading, particularly the first part of it. The second part's quite nice. The third part's tonight now, but it's like he didn't know, like he had it hidden in it. Is it not hidden? He just kind of wrote it and put it up in his attic and forgot all about it, and just casually kind of remembered it one day when he was looking for other stuff. So there is a kind of a feeling that, you know, the way we talk about idea space and stuff coming down, there is that kind of feeling to the Book of the Law, you know, and this Iwas and all of that kind of stuff, his holy guardian angel. But it's also kind of, what's that word, language-wise, linguistically, it's in places definitely written by Aleister Crowley, you know, so it's not, you know, whether if he was channeling it, which says he was, his influence has come through it. But the Telema stuff seems to be, or at least it's purported to be a kind of a separate thing than him. It's not the Church of Aleister Crowley.
Yeah.
You know,
I suppose my kind of thing with Telema is that I want to read about, want to learn about. But for me, like if it's kind of based on Hermeticism or Kabbalah, and then Hermeticism came before that, well then should just go to Hermeticism.
Yeah. I understand, but there is a twist in it. There is a kind of a. There is a, it's more than in the same way that Hermeticism, and then you could say, well, the Kabbalion, but I mean, it's a different. There is a thing, and then you have reality transfer, and then you go, well, just go to Hermeticism, but then you don't find out about pendulums.
Yeah, okay, I understand. I get you. Yeah, it's a good point actually. I hadn't thought of it that way. No, I mean, I'm looking forward to reading it. I mean, once I get through 10 million other fucking books I have to read, thanks to Tommy Kelly, and doing my induction into chaos magic or whatever the fuck this is. Fucking angels and fucking madness.
Any further updates on your HJ?
If you give me like 2 seconds, I can get my notebook. Hold on, I forgot it.
Go for it. Yeah.
Talk among yourselves there.
Talk among yourselves, or I will take this opportunity to just go to the silence, edit it, and spud us back now.
How long was I?
Not long. I was actually going to do a thing where I'll say, I'll edit it and all that, but the space is so short that I won't have the bother. So
I even left in the phone.
I know, but that was brilliant in the Seamus thing. It was so well. I was going, no way that happened right at that moment. No way.
It was hilarious. Huh? One morning I woke up and I heard this Bogota Zahid. Okay.
All right.
And I looked this up. Bogotha. Looked that up. It's a I couldn't find much of a thing. There's a place in India, it's like a waterfalls, but it's not spelled the same. Zaid is it's a fairly common name from that part of the world. So
it sounds Hebrewish though. Look that way.
Look in the Kabbalah. You're like the Oracle, Tommy. You know that? I should be texting you every morning after I talk to Minerva, or she talks to me.
I'll just set up an app for you, translating Minerva.
What was I?
Also, don't forget you have the whole gematria thing where you can look up the equivalent number stuff. Crowley was massive into that. He loved that.
I know the numbers thing. I know it looks kind of cool, but it's just another thing. I don't want to have to commit to.
No. I've enough.
Fucking hell! Every
I've
morning.
Enough secrets of the universe to deal with as it stands, without the hidden layer.
I have two children, Tommy, and I'm trying to start a new business. I'm trying to make this as chaos magic as possible and just get to the point. Yeah, do you remember I was telling you about the one where there was like a frame. A cupboard frame, and it was open and it was marshmallowy.
Yes,
Is this God?
Yeah.
So I had this fucking crazy one the other day. Same thing had happened. It's that. What's that sleep called? You told me the name of it before. Not
lucid dreaming.
No. It's not lucid. It's not lucid dreaming because lucid you have control. It's the dream between you wake up for the first time and the second time.
Oh yeah, not luminary. What is the word? Anyway, go on. It'll come to me.
So
if I had a brain that would remember.
This is the one when all my experiences are happening. So if anyone wants to try the way that
liminal.
So if anyone wants to try this way that I'm doing it, I explain that first. So what I do is I'll wake up first, and then I'll have like a question or a thought in my mind that I put out to her, to the angel, and then she might answer me or might not, and it'll come to me before I wake up.
Most women.
A second time. Now, Tommy. Now. Behave, all right? You don't become a Roman goddess without fucking cracking some skulls, you know? So anyway, I had one thing where, like, I'll explain it again if you haven't heard it. I thought it was like a cupboard, a really old one, had a kind of flimsy eye and hook lock, I think they call it, and that came off when I opened it, and then I touched it, and I knew that there was this vast thing behind it, but as I touched it was like squishy marshmallow, and I turned to her, even though she's not there with me, there's a presence. I turned to her and I went, "Is this God?" And then poof, I woke up, right, and I fucking was mad. So the other morning, something really, really, really intense. It was crazy. Woke up, same thing, and I just did the chanting. I consent to the holy guardian, to the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel. I said that, I just kind of as a mantra, and just drifted back off to sleep. And next thing there was this, just I can barely put it into words. Like it's just this intense, blinding white light, like just
Oh, wow.
pain, like really. So
Yeah.
I was trying to open my eyes as I was seeing it. Honestly, trying to open my eyes, and I was just like, "Oh my god, like, this is God, this is fucking God! Like, what the fuck's going on here?" And I was trying to get away from it because I was scared. I was fucking. I was shitting myself. I was so scared. But it was just, and it was this kind of, in like movies where they have the sound of the sun, and it's just.
Oh yeah.
Kind of thing. It was like that. It was this mad noise that was kind of between radio channels or whatever, and this. I still remember, like, I had this thing of trying to open my eyes, but it was just this intense white light just going, ha, right, I've met God twice now in the last week. Okay. What else was there, eh?
It's interesting, the running away in fear, because that's one of the kind of things that's suggested how humanity first became incarnate in this kind of thing, is seeing God in his brilliance and being terrified, turning away, and becoming... yeah, no, that's it. And then having a false conclusion about what all that means, and then hiding yourself in a kind of a physical body.
It's mad. Do you know? Because like the first time with the marshmallow thing, I wasn't afraid at all. I was just like, is this what I think it is, kind of thing? Yeah. And then the second time I was like, whoa, holy shit, this is definitely what I thought it was.
Wow,
you know?
That's class.
Then the other day, I've only had one since then. It was really weird.
Only met God 3 times this week.
Yeah,
it's such a slow week.
No, the other was the complete opposite. It was I had this saw this vision of some plants being uprooted.
Oh, right.
And it was garlic.
Oh, right.
Make it out what you will.
Well, we had spoken before about the wild garlic thing before, like was that on the podcast or just one of the drinking sessions we had?
Yeah,
sure. So that's kind of something. That's a number of times garlic has come up in your life recently that you should. What's the occult significance of garlic other than vampires?
Garlic farm. Maybe there's vampires. Maybe that's it. God has anointed me.
Vampire hunter.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad I watched Van Helsing now.
I know. Yeah, my training is complete. So yeah, what I think you should do is next time you're talking to Minerva is ask her to have a word with my HGA and go, hey lad, what's going on? Will you have a chat with Tommy?
Give Tommy a shout there, will you? Okay, I'll do that for you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest thing with it is that I'm not really sure what to do with this thing I have now, and like the books that are out are more about how to get in touch with them. Yeah, and it seems that I've totally bypassed all that.
Yeah.
And just did it really quickly and got really lucky. And like, it's so bizarre even to talk about it, you know? It's really weird. But so I if anyone knows anything on the Discord that
answer some postcard.
Yeah, to like just say, because like I mean, I just don't know, like what, like do we just, like if it's the Alan Chapman and Duncan Barford. I nearly got it right. Barford. Like if it's their method, then you just use it to gain enlightenment. Okay, that's cool. It's not really what I'm after, but like if it's a fucking side quest in this life of mine, all right, I'm willing to give it a go. Like, you know,
not enlightenment. Not really into it, but I could probably spend an hour or two just to get it. Just waste an hour or two. No problem.
Yeah, look. I mean, okay, like maybe make me a better dad or something like that. I mean, I reckon she could put me in the. Have you
asked what? Asked her that question then?
No, I haven't really asked about the meaning of life or anything like that, because it's just that, to be honest, the meaning of life...
A good question would be to ask is what now, because it's a simple enough one to slip in there or to...
Yeah, what's next?
Yeah.
Because, I know what the meaning of life is. Just meaning of life should just be sound. Don't be a dickhead.
Yeah.
Be sound, enjoy yourself, and try and have as much fun as you can. There'll be good times and bad times, so... enjoy them when you have them, and when they're bad, just know that good times aren't far away. You know, it's gonna be all right. So yeah, I need to ask her, how do I get my wings? How do I go down in a blaze of glory like Aleister Crowley? I nearly said Aleister Campbell there for some reason. Aleister Crowley,
which is a very different story.
He did go down in a blaze of glory. So it was.
Well, I suppose you just get your doctor to give you a prescription for heroin, become a heroin addict, and then die in a boarding house. For instance. Simple. I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's easy. Like, they'll give you free samples now. If you go to the doctor, you go, I can give you a free sample of heroin. It's just...
I will ask her what next, but I presume it's going to be like what Alan like the lads in Chapman and Barfoot's book, it's going to be about just crossing the abyss. And
yeah, I'd be
getting to the
interested to
next
see if
stage.
Coronzon turns up. No, that'd be an
Well, yeah,
interesting
I'm not
experience
looking
for you.
forward to that bit, but like at the same time, you know me, man, I'm a bit of a fighter, so I'll take him on. You know, not afraid
Well,
of
you've
him.
no choice. You've no choice.
Well, yeah, exactly. There's no choice, I suppose. But like, I don't know. Maybe stuff like that will take longer for me.
There's a huge
like,
bang behind me there. Coronzon's in the room. Wants to be known. That's very weird. You know, once there was a bang and you just go, yeah, whatever, it's just something. But there was like, oh no, that was an ominous bang. there was a presence behind that.
I hope the microphone picks that up. I didn't hear that. I hope the microphone picks that up. Maybe we should just leave it there then.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Fuck you, Coronzon.
See? You have to do your best. You have to do your best. It's not a complete podcast unless you say it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say. I said fuck you, Coronzon. Bye-bye.